are now tuned in with Queasy Low Speaks podcast. And on today's episode, man, we got Miss Jesi here. Miss Beautiful Jesi, man. Tell the people about you, some of the listeners that do not know about you and what's going on today. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm so good. So glad to be here. I'm really stoked. Little backstory. I'm an orthodontic assistant. Okay. And so I got to meet him at my place of work.
Yes.
And it was just really cool to get to connect and have like a human conversation when you're in the middle of work.
Yeah, so what ended up happening, how me and Jesi met, so I was actually getting some work done. I have Invisalign, for those of y'all that don't know, that I come in most of the time, but I actually speak to the people. I'm not one of them stuck up types like, hey,
just fix my teeth and move on.
Yeah, like just do my mouth and let's go from there. No, the way that I operate people is that I come in, I speak, and I treat people with respect. She had this bright aura about her for whatever reason. I was like, man, we clicked. So we just got to talking about life. And what ended up happening was we got to talking about not giving up, understanding yourself, knowing who you are as a person. And long story short, man, it was just like, this is what I do. She told me about herself. And I was just like, yeah, I think we should actually do an interview so people can actually have more awareness about what's going on out here in the world. A little bit more about what you and how you defeated having a victim mindset. I think that's very important for the listeners to listen on that.
I mean, it's really cool that we get to do it in person too. Yeah. I feel like so often it's done over Zoom and you're looking at someone through a camera. Yeah. So the fact that we're here in real life, it's like, it makes it even better. Yeah. So I'm local to Charlotte. I'm a full-time wheelchair user. I was in a motorcycle accident in 2015. A woman made a U-turn into the bike I was a passenger on, and the driver didn't stop in time. Oh. So he went through her back window, breaking his leg. I went over her SUV. My back broke in two places. So I actually broke my back at T4 and T7. Yeah. So my back is completely fused from the top to bottom. Oh, man. My chest completely collapsed. My ribs punctured my lungs, nicked my spinal cord. So my ribs are actually what paralyzed me. Oh, I have a traumatic brain injury and I coded twice and had to be resuscitated. So to say that I'm here is just a blessing in itself.
Man. Oh, yeah. Man. And I seen you've been having it's the Will With Me Foundation, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell some of the listeners about what it's about?
So
how can they, actually donate to that?
Yeah, check us out. It's wheelwithmefoundation.org is our website. We're in the process of updating it. But Wheel With Me Foundation serves the independence of wheelchair users. So every quarter we offer a week-long empowerment via Zoom where wheelchair users can come completely free and learn from other wheelchair users what they can do. We've had an interior designer who does interior design completely from her chair. Really? Mindset and growth, nutrition, sex and disability, going back to work, becoming an actor, becoming an advocate. So there's so many things out there to serve this community and other people doing these things already. Yeah. So for them to see somebody that looks like them going out and attacking life gives them the confidence to know that they can do it too.
See, you're still moving like you was, and I think that's a tremendous thing to have.
I think the biggest thing is my life now is better than it was when I was walking, for sure. My mindset's better. I have a close relationship with God. I was living unguided before. I had zero purpose. I had zero reason to be living except for, I can't wait to drink when I get off work. Or I can't wait to drink this weekend. Yeah. And so for me, this accident saved my life and it gave me a life. It gave me purpose and a reason to actually wake up every day and go out and live and it made me realize we really create our own reality and our habits create where we go. And so if we want to achieve more in life, we got to switch up what we're doing every day. And I do use a wheelchair full time. I don't have use of my legs. So some things are a lot harder and I have to be very mindful of my time because now I'm like, I'm losing a couple hours a day to being disabled, which a lot of people don't realize. And during the pandemic, I was able to time it takes me 5 minutes to get completely dressed from head to toe. It takes me 15 minutes to get in the shower and get out of the shower. There's no just hopping in and out, It takes me 5 minutes to go to the bathroom if I need to just pee. And it's the things that we don't even think twice about now take me an extra step. And so I have to factor that time into my day. And I think the more awareness we have of where we're spending our time, am I scrolling social? Am I watching Netflix? how am I spending my time? Do I really not have the time to go to the gym and do what I want to do and live the life I want to live?
Right.
Or is it just me spending my time doing things that aren't actually productive to where I want to be?
See, I think that's very important too because you got to really value your time. I think you started seeing how much time that you wasted in the past. So it's like now you're like, yo, I'm not wasting my time. If this is not what we're doing, hey, I'm getting the hell on. I'm getting on somewhere with it. I don't blame with you. Let me ask you this. So, for example, how has it been since people that knew you growing up? Do people treat you different now?
No, not my close friends. Well, my childhood friends. So I grew up in Ohio, and those people I'm not as close with. So they do treat me a little different. We're not as close as we used to be. But like my friends here in North Carolina, I mean, I've been here since I was 16. They're the same, and like a lot of my friends are dudes. Yeah. And so something that comes with this injury is loss of bowel and bladder control, which is probably the hardest part. Like if not walking was my biggest problem, this wouldn't be a thing. But it's the fact that I have to use catheters to pee, and if I don't pee on time, then I'm gonna pee myself. Like that was the hardest thing, and I'll never forget one of my close guy friends. He would pull like my wet pool up from under me when I would have to change. In the beginning of the injury, it's really hard. Like the further you get into it, and so for anyone that's newly injured watching the live, you know, the further you get into being paralyzed, the more you're able to manage those things, and you don't have as many accidents. Like I don't have accidents the way I used to. Yeah. Like it is not the thing. You learn your body, but in the beginning, it's really hard. So that support system was key. Like
that's huge. And let me ask you this. So I know that you train, you working out. So tell the listeners about what you do as far as like the services that you actually, you know, render out to other people like yourself. Like how do you go about your day? Like what are some goals and habits that you set for yourself this year?
So my biggest goal is to quit my full-time job. I want to coach nutrition full-time. That is my passion. I love coaching nutrition. Food is truly power, and you can go to the gym all day long, but if you're not fueling your body properly, you're not going to see results. Especially us wheelchair users, like our biggest thing is our belly because we're seated. And it's like if your gut health's not right, your belly's not gonna be right. So for me, nutrition is like number one. Probiotics. Right. I want to coach nutrition. Like that's what I want to do. But my big goal is to get my car paid off too. Like and so I'm working full time to kind of get there. Yeah. And I'm in school. Like I'm taking the classes every day and like dedicated. Right. So for me, my day looks like I wake up around 5. I do this thing called brain tap. I have a brain injury, so I'm trying to rework my brain waves to work optimally. Nice. Yeah. And I just started using this thing called brain tap, so that's been integrated into every morning. I read 10 pages of a nonfiction personal development book. Oh, I think that's key. If you read 10 pages every day, you'll read a whole book of What's the name of the book? Right now I'm reading Driven Forward. It's by another wheelchair user. I just finished David Goggins' book. What's 10, never finished. 10 out of 10 recommend. Yeah. It was so good. That man, I would love to be the Crip version of him. Yeah. Like for real, because like that man is, David Goggins is powerful. Y'all should follow him if you needed some inspiration and to be a harder person. Like, dude is amazing. So I get my standing frame to do this in the morning, which is also important. I've seen it on your video too. Yeah, okay. So I stand daily. It's really important to get weight through my legs, help with circulation, help to maintain that bone density. Yeah. So I'm able to maintain a life. And honestly, our body's not meant to be sitting. You look at research and sitting's the new smoking is what they say. And so it's like, it's really important to get upright, to get everything functioning properly. So I get there, I read the devotion, I read Stoic, read my 10 pages, get out, take a 5-minute cold shower, get ready for work, make that commute to work, go in. At my lunch breaks on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go walk in my leg braces. So you got a set routine. You got steps. You got to actually have structure in your life. And I think a lot of people don't have a chance to have that structure in their life, so their life is somewhat chaotic, which is fine. We all had a chaotic life once in a lifetime, but the thing is that you actually have some of that structure. You can actually work around your schedule. Like today, you made it here. You actually have structure, man, and I think that's a beautiful thing to have within yourself, man, because you're comfortable with what you got going on. You're serious about living. You don't really take life for granted anymore like you used to, and you see life in a different perspective. So I really commend you for actually, you know what I'm saying, well, I think the most important thing that people understand with that is that it's a process to get there. Yeah. I didn't just wake up one day and was like, okay, I'm structured and regimented and this is what I do. Like it's literally been 2 years of me consistently reading, 2 years of me consistently calendar blocking and then following through. Someone had said to me, if you're not willing to show up for you, how can you show up for others? I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah.
Like,
I have to. I actually was a person that used to give a lot. Like
yeah,
I always look for people. I always make sure everybody else straight, but I want to make sure myself was straight. And I would tell a lot of guys that, hey man, this is what set me back. I wasn't putting myself first. I was doing things for others and wondering why I was asked out in the end. So you have to do that, man, to really be happy because I mean you happy, man.
yeah.
People see that smile, you know what I mean? It just brightens up the room and people just seeing that you love yourself for you regardless. And it's just like I treat people the same, man.
I think the most powerful thing from me showing up every day, keeping the habits, prioritizing fitness. Like, so Tuesdays and Thursdays I resistance train, weekends I resistance train and do like recovery work. And I think it's very important to prioritize those things because when you do, you gain confidence in yourself.
That's real.
And when you gain confidence in yourself, you're able to love yourself. And when you love you more than you love anyone else, you're able to give more love to others.
Yeah.
And like this summer, I went to a music festival, and while there, I had a conversation with God, and like literally, it was like God was like, "I am love."
Yeah.
And in order to show others love, you need to put your love back into me. If you want to live more like me, if you want to love others like me, you need to love you like I love you. Because I was like, I'm a wheelchair user, so I'm not worth being loved. I'm not worth working. I'm not worth doing any of these things. For 7 years, I lived in poverty. I survived on government assistance and stretched it to make it work every month. Yeah. And I wasn't able to get ahead on bills. I wasn't able to pay off debt. And like last year, my parents were like, "Hey, we want to downsize." I rent the basement from them. My parents moved. Like, I can't afford rent on my own on disability. Yeah. And so I made the choice. I was like, I guess I'm going to go back to work full time and see what we're doing. And I've been more free since being off of government assistance. I've been able to make more money, actually be financially okay, and actually have the idea that one day I'm going to own a house. Yeah. And to have possible. That, like that's a possibility. Yeah. That wasn't possible a year ago. Literally a year today, that was not possible. And it's crazy that you just make one decision and then commit to that decision and truly commit with your entire existence.
Change your whole life.
In a year.
Yes. So let me ask you this. So what made you get into, how did you become competitive? Because I see that you're very competitive. I told you I've seen everything that I've been a part of, Jesi.
Oh yeah, I mean I grew up racing 4-wheelers. The only difference, so we're in the middle of writing my book right now, and I was talking to the publisher the other day and the editor, and I said, you know, the craziest thing in my life is that my entire life I operated on Plan B. So it was Plan A was never going to work out. Like I'm like my big dream before I was paralyzed was to go to dental school. Yeah. But I worked for the orthodontist. I was an orthodontic assistant. I was always operating on Plan B. Well, this is a good backup plan, and it's not bad. So why wouldn't I? But I never truly committed. And so growing up racing 4-wheelers, I mean, I participated, but I was never fully committed. So when I got paralyzed, I looked at it as an opportunity. I got to recreate myself. Yeah. And I'm like, now this is my time to say this is my plan A, and I'm going to operate on that plan A. Yeah. There is no plan B because plan A is the only option. And I gave that zero options mentality to myself. Now, again, it didn't happen right out the gate. I really didn't get comfortable with this until like 5 years in. Yeah. And at the time of this recording, I'm only 8 years in. So it's not like I'm like, I feel like I'm 3 years committed to actually becoming something, growing what my passion is, which is fitness. Yeah. And when I first got injured, there were no fitness apps for wheelchair users. There was nothing. And so when this developer reached out to me, he's like, I want you to be the one to create this.
So the developer reached out to you.
Yeah, man, I looked.
So I was just gonna ask you that, like, how did that happen?
Yo, 6 months, man. This developer emailed me, and I thought it was spam because you get these spam emails all the time. You know, when you have a business email on your Insta and stuff,
like you get fake.
Right, you get spam. Yeah. And he's like, create your own fitness app, and I'm like, this dude's full of it, and I'm good. And at the time, I had a team of 2 girls, and I was like, y'all, will you please get on a call with this man? I don't know what he wants, whatever. Yeah. And it was like 6 months of him consistently emailing me. He gets on as soon as he got out. One of my girls called me, and she's like, you need to get on a call with this guy. I was like, okay, all right, whatever. So I hop on a call with him, and next thing I know, Sonny's like, yo, what is stopping you from us launching your app for you? And he like laid it all out, and the next thing I know, he's like, all right, Wheel With Me Fitness has been submitted to the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, and like Yeah, and so in
That's fucking dope,
May of
yo.
2022, we launched the Wheel with Me Fitness app, the first fitness app for wheelchair users, created by wheelchair users, with actual interactive classes and routines.
Golly. So let me ask you this: how many people have downloaded this app already?
Over 2,000 downloads. Yeah, I've been on the Today Show to talk about it.
Mhm.
Fox up in Greensboro, here in
Okay.
WCNC.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get on the news to talk about it more. I am partnering with local rehab facilities,
Yeah.
getting other wheelchair users. And
Hmm.
like the big thing about it is I don't want it to just be my face.
Hmm.
And so for example, next weekend we're going down to Rogers CP's in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a
Hmm.
rehab facility,
Yeah.
and they're bringing some of their community members out, and we're going to record them in the app. So that way it's other people that look like them. What is the biggest
I can see
issue
that.
out in public right now is that there's no representation.
Nah, people
We,
just talking like it's kind of like a lot of people want to be chiefs,
right,
but folks don't really want to start from the bottom as far as being an Indian to kind of get with the routine of it. And it's okay, but you're actually showing something that people can actually see. Be like, hey, you know what? You're not the only one. You're not
right,
alone. Like we
right.
have something that can work for you. Let's work together. And I think that's really real to actually show people like, hey, yeah, you're the face of it, but you want this to be the face of the people.
It's got to be the face of the people
Yeah.
because that's for so long it's been non-disabled people telling us how we need to be disabled. And I'm tired
Mm,
of it, man. Non-disabled people don't live in our day-to-day, and they live on this fear base of like, for example, the girls I work with, we go out the back door, I pop down the steps. I
yeah.
just pop a wheelie and bump on down and move on with my life. And they're over there holding their breath, like, it terrifies me. And I'm like, if I operated on that mentality, I wouldn't be going up to the mountains and getting to go outside.
Won't be
I wouldn't,
living.
right? I wouldn't have went and wheeled the Bahamas and sidewalk runs out and I just pop down the curb and keep on going, like that's what allows me to have freedom. And
Mhm,
non-disabled people operate in that fear-based mindset of you're going to get hurt worse, but
mhm.
we have to take risks if we want to actually live life to
Yeah,
the fullest.
yeah. Damn, you just spoke to the people that are actually disabled in their mind.
Yeah.
Like, I give you a prime example. Some people would never get to live a life.
Mhm.
Think about it. There's people who never get to live a life like how you live your life.
Mhm.
And that's big. To me, I kept looking. I'm looking at your page, like I said, I was like, what questions I want to ask her? And I seen it and I said, yo, she travels. Like she travels. Like she does stuff. I seen you do it. I don't know if it was a tough, it was like some type of mud,
Tough Mudder.
tough mud. I'm
I've
about to
done
say the mud
yo,
competition.
15 Tough Mudders. I've done 15. Most of those events have been overnight events. I've done their 24-hour World's Toughest Mudder 4 times. I've gotten 25 miles, 2 hours, 4 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You put in work.
I'm just trying to live life to the fullest. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Our struggle is our opportunity to
Yeah.
live life to the fullest. And I have lived more since being in this wheelchair than I ever did when I was walking. Like later this year, I'm getting flown to Sweden to go speak at a national sales meeting. Sweden with an overnight in Amsterdam, the one place in the country that's been on my #1 list to go visit, like since
Yeah,
I
that
was a
should happen.
kid. And now I get to go stay the night in Amsterdam and explore the city.
God,
And like it's just you create your reality. I capitalize on every minute I have in the day. I
all
think
the time.
it's so
Yeah.
important. And I'm not gonna, some days I do listen to music on the ride or I listen to a pod.
It's
Or on the way
normal.
home, I'll talk to somebody on the phone, call a client, and just check
Yeah.
in with them, see how they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's so important that we don't get so caught up in that one way and that's the only way and the right way, because then we have a situation like we do politically now, right? Where it's like one way is the only way, and what I believe is what I believe, and you have to believe it because that's what I believe is my truth. And just because I believe that's my truth doesn't mean it is. And I
Mhm.
think we need to have an understanding that we're always learning and evolving as
Yes.
humans, and we have to do that together. We
Yes.
have to create unity with one another. We
Yes.
can't just keep fighting one
No,
another.
we're not gonna get anywhere. Just really just keep butting heads, like you said. People want to be in control of different stuff, and I can tell because there's a difference between you trying to show somebody different ways to do something, but compared to like you said, actually having control, then that's when you somebody want to have control of your life. And we deal with that on a regular. And we have countries overseas, which men you know about, that actually benefit from just living freely, not really being controlled by their government, but actually listening to their citizens. So like,
Right, and it's so often in life where we have one struggle and then we make a decision that adds to that struggle, and then we get another struggle, and we keep
right,
making these poor decisions that keep accumulating
yeah,
and making our life harder than it has to
yeah,
be. And then it's like, well, how did I get here? And you refuse to look at what you did to get yourself there. It's personal responsibility
Yes.
is something that is really, really missing right now, I think, among humans as a whole.
Mhm.
We have to take personal responsibility for our actions and realize that, like, for example, this morning I was talking about my accident and how I got here, and I'm sobbing because it was like, I am the reason I'm here. Yes, I was a passenger on the motorcycle. Yes, a woman made a U-turn in front of us, but I made the choice to get on there. And my
Yeah.
actions and the way I was treating people, because I wasn't a good person before I was
Yeah.
injured. And it's never too late to save yourself. It's never
Yeah.
too late to make the choice to become better. And I think that's important that we understand that we don't have to be who we've always been.
Right.
Just because we were raised a certain way or we come from a certain place,
Mhm.
like that doesn't mean we have to continue that pattern. It just takes us making the uncomfortable choices every day, because when you start to change, it's so uncomfortable.
No, it
It
is.
really
It really
is.
is. Like how you say, it's funny you mentioned about people treat people a certain way because there's been times where I remember just reaching out to people, introducing myself, and just seeing what they were on before I decide to introduce what I do and try to offer to them. Like, hey, I think you should check this out. And most of the time they blow you up like, no, I don't
Yeah.
care about that. And then, like you said, it takes different things to happen along the way because there was plenty of times, like me, for example, I had people do me dirty and stuff in life, and I would want to do stuff back then when I was younger. Hell yeah, I'll try to get you. But then I had to realize, damn, me doing this might come back on me 10 times worse in any type of form of fashion. Whether I deserve it or not, that's something you got to kind of think of. So it makes you switch up how you treat people. And I
Like,
try to,
you've gotta treat people the way you wanna be treated. You've gotta put out what you want back.
yeah,
If you're putting out and you're getting back exactly what you think you're going to, it's because of what you're putting out there.
yeah,
I know damn well when I put out that I'm a miserable wheelchair user, I'm a miserable disabled person, or I'm just miserable in general,
yeah,
I get that back.
yeah,
But if I put a smile on, then I get met with that energy. You have to put out the energy you want back. And karma's real. You
yeah,
gotta treat people right,
yeah.
regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of your feelings towards that person, be kind. Because if you keep putting that negative energy out, that's just what you're gonna keep receiving.
No.
You've got to protect yourself. And I think too many people don't protect their energy
Mhm.
correctly.
And that's what I represent. And I have a question for you. This last question: who's the most influential people in your life that's had a great impact on you? The last two people that really made a tremendous impact on your life.
I think the one person that definitely has had a massive impact is my mom.
Hmm.
She's been through it,
Yeah.
and that woman hitchhiked across America as a kid numerous times.
Wow.
Survived an abusive family,
Hmm.
and she works so damn hard. Like,
Really?
my work ethic, hands down, comes from my mom.
Yeah.
And she's just straight up, and it's just like, this is how it is, and I'm gonna tell you how I'm feeling and be honest. And then I think the other one is it's got to be Andy Frisella from First Form. He's the CEO of First Form, and he has a podcast called Real AF,
Okay.
and he created a program called 75 Hard, and it's where you do 2 workouts a day, drink a gallon of water a day, pick a diet, stick to it, read 10 pages of a nonfiction personal development book every day, and then take a photo. No alcohol or cheat meals.
Ooh,
So no alcohol,
that's
cheat
different.
meals, and what's the other thing you can't have? No alcohol, cheat meals, and you can't miss the photo or anything, or you start over at day one. It's 75 days straight.
Oh, so when you mess up, you got to start back
Back
over
into day one.
again.
So like I got 36 days in, and I totaled my car,
Oh,
and I had to start over at day one because I ended up at the hospital, missed my reading, and I had to start over again.
so through everything off.
Yeah. But when you reach the end of that 75 days with no alcohol or cheat meals, doing the same 5 tasks every day, you've done read like 5 books in that time. You're drinking water, your body's functioning optimally, because I do a macro or flexible dieting.
Yeah.
And so just meeting my macros was my goal with Whole Foods.
Mhm.
And so you do that for 75 days of meeting your macros, drinking 128 ounces of water, and like
Wow.
prioritizing your mind and everything and your fitness.
And that's what keeps your brain running too. Like you was mentioning to me earlier about just you already doing the exercise, but you being able to actually have stuff set up in your mind. Besides you writing it down, you can just do it, and it's keeping you just active
Right.
constantly.
I think the hardest thing is my brain injury
Yeah.
is one thing I really struggle with. And I didn't realize it until I went back to work full time. Working 40 hours a week, when I get home, by the end of the day, I can't even make sentences.
For
at
real?
all. I can't even form a sentence. My roommate looks at me and it just literally comes out like mumble jumble. It sounds like I'm drunk almost.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, honey, your brain." I was like, "It's mush."
Yeah.
And so that's why I got introduced to Brain Tap. It's infrared lights, it's headphones, like a meditation almost, but then it has the lights that cool down too.
Oh, that's
And so
nice.
while you're getting the meditation, you have the lights working, but your eyes are closed, but it's helping to take your brain waves from beta to alpha to theta back. And so it's taking your brain waves to a place where your brain can actually recover,
Oh,
and then it brings you back. So I've been doing it twice a day for like a week.
that's
And
dope.
I usually am exhausted by Tuesday. I didn't get that exhaustion until Thursday. Like it was so amazing getting off work and still being able to put in another 2, 3 hours of work on my business. And that was the biggest thing holding me back. And now I found a natural solution.
Solution.
There's so many natural remedies. I think when I first got paralyzed, the biggest issue I had was they tried to send me home with 10 different pharmaceuticals. Well, for the pain, I chose cannabis. For the mental stuff, I chose,
Good.
I
Good.
microdosed psilocybin.
Yeah.
So like I'm using plants for my pain and my mental stuff, and
Like that.
meditation and visualization. And then for my pain and my spasms in my legs, they wanted to send me with baclofen. No, I use electric stimulation.
Yeah.
And now I found something for my brain.
Yeah.
And now I'm also trying another thing for pain. And so there's all of these natural devices out there where we don't have to keep poisoning our body, because I
Yeah.
think I was injured at 22 years old. I'm expected to live to 70, 80 years old, you know?
Yeah.
So what's 70? That's what, 50 years on
50.
pharmaceuticals that my body is getting poisoned, my kidney, my livers. How is all that going to hold up?
That would basically cut off your lifespan by having more pharmaceuticals, because I've seen that with my grandmama back then. Like she had what happened with her, I want to say, she had more of Alzheimer's at one point. I got to see how one minute she's there and she isn't, and you getting fussed out. So people would take her on it, like, why she cussing me out and stuff, trying to hit me and stuff. And I'm just like, I started learning early. They said, yo, it's something that's going on. And I remember mentioning that to them, speaking of cannabis. I used to be like, yo, this is what I think that they need, because I'm a big cannabis user myself. You know what I mean? I've been around it for a very long time. I got a lot of knowledge in that. We'll say that for a backstory. But just knowing that it actually benefits you in that way, where it helps with inflammation, you know, certain neurons within your body, because everybody cannabis nervous system acts different. I've been around people that have bad trips before because they didn't know the proper dosage, or they didn't know where this stuff came from.
Right.
And that's one thing I would stress to people a lot. I'd be like, hey, look, it's good, but you need to start off with this. And with you being able to use that and push away the pharmaceuticals, like, that's very important to me, because I had to get my mom off of using stuff like that, because they would push that to her, because she had issues with her hip. I started getting her these different hemp gels, things that she can use that actually should have a sustainable life, and she could just function normally. You know what I mean? Even if you are in pain like that, you know what I mean?
That's how so psilocybin's been the big one for me because of something with the brain injury, seasonal depression. Like, and the thing is, I get capsules. I get the capsules that are half lion's mane, half psilocybin. So it's a nice blend. It's only 0.1 or 0.2, depending on which one. Yeah, like I usually split them in half. They're 0.2, so I split them in half because it's wild how your body reacts after it. So like when I actually use mushrooms to kind of expand my mind, once a year I do take a full trip to expand my mind and have a better understanding of self. My legs will spasm like this, like running in my chair. It literally, you'll hear it tapping like that. Yeah. That's exactly how it moves, is like this. And so I'm like, why is the psilocybin causing this to happen? And I really want to gain a better understanding of that. But so often we're getting Xanax or Klonopin or all these depression medicines. And it's like, I just use a micro and literally my world goes from tube TV to high def and I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way to explain it, is like it literally, for all of us 90s babies, like it takes your world from tube TV to high def. And I think not always taking what the doctors say at face value is so important, because you know, for your gut issues and your poor immunity and you constantly getting sick and your type 2 diabetes, that could be shifted with a nutritional change. But they're giving you, they're handing out pills, because where are they getting a lot of their money from? And we've got to have that, because we live in a capitalist society, which is not a bad society to live in. We've got to
people that's in it.
Correct. We've got to keep that in mind, that, hey, who's filling the pockets of the people giving us these pills and our medical advice and these things. And just not saying that they don't know what they're talking about and you shouldn't listen to your doctor, because you should definitely listen to your doctor, but don't go in there blind, and go in there with an open mind, and be willing to kind of have an understanding and do a little more research for yourself and for your health.
You actually know what's going in your body, man.
Right. My paralysis did that to me. I didn't start using cannabis or psilocybin until after I got paralyzed.
Like, I could tell you something when you were trying to figure out why I was doing it when you said your leg was a spasm, right? So there's certain like chemicals well, not chemical, but it's actually a natural remedy that's coming from the earth when you grow these mushrooms, right? So it was actually making your legs a little bit more active than usual. So you started having more blood flow, you started having more muscles moving around in your legs. So your leg is kind of like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like this, you know what I mean? It's like, I like it. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that though. But that's crazy because you got different ones. You got Blue Mystic, you got Lion's Mane, which is more for your brain development, really open up your mind. There's a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of different. I know a good bit about this.
Plant medicine is just so, I think it's so important and so underrated. And we're allowing these big companies like Pfizer and Moderna, because those are the big ones that we've heard recently, right? Like,
cash cows, man.
But they made more money off the pandemic than than anyone, right? A lot of us lost at what expense? At our expense. And so I'm just saying we've got to pay attention to who's filling the pockets of the people giving us advice and taking money from our pockets.
And the investors too, because you know, it's for example, that's like me and you were putting our money into like this stool that's sitting right here. And so we want people to use these stools, but then we know, for example, these stools are only gonna last for a year, but they look durable because of the look of them. People are like, oh, this will last me a long time. Last about a couple 6 months to a year, then you gotta get another one. You spend it. So they keep people spending because you're not fixing the problem. You're just feeding the problem even more, and you're getting people more addicted to like having just a small outcome rather than just looking at it long term.
It's a band-aid. Band-aid on the problem. And like, so a lot of things that they say are normal with a spinal cord injury are not having regular bowel movements, so going every 3 to 4 days, having high levels of pain, spasticity. These are things I've been able to help with a natural remedy, from my nutrition to make the bowels normal and everything else normal, to lower my pain as well. If I avoid high sugars, I don't have as much nerve pain in my legs.
For real?
Yeah. If I skip electric stimulation, I wear these shorts every night when I sleep. And if I skip wearing those shorts, the next day I'll be super spastic and my nerve pain will be through the roof.
For real?
Yeah. It's amazing, like these natural things. And I've purposely not used them, or I've done elimination diets. Like, I've done these things to learn my body and to learn what works for my body, and to tell the PTs I'm close with, like, hey, try this. It's a little bit more intense and a little more work for the patient, but
real,
like, it's just, I think it's really important that, we can give them that easy fix out, but we can also give them something that's going to be there for longevity of independence and longevity of life and quality of life.
That's what I'm for, man. So where can the listeners find you at online? How can they actually reach out to you as far as services and stuff, and really just getting what you have to offer, because you got some big things going on right now? Talk to them.
First and foremost, please, if you gain value from today's episode, share it with a friend, like share it directly with somebody. That's how these podcasts grow, is word of mouth. And so show him some love, share it with somebody directly, let the people know. If you want to find my organizations, it's at Wheel With Me Foundation on all platforms, and at Wheel With Me Fitness on all platforms. For me personally, services, conversation, whatever you're looking for, it's at JESI STRACHAM. It's Jesi Stracham, but looks like Stracham.
Strawham, so that's how you say that.
Yeah, like a straw you drink from him.
Okay. People kill my name all the time. Turquoise, all that stuff. But yo, this is Queasy Low Speaks podcast, man. We had Miss Jesi here. It was definitely a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I look forward to having you again, and just seeing what you about to do big, because you got some big things going on right now.
Hey, we taking over.
Man, that's the move though. So y'all be safe, stay out the way, and stay out your own way. And most importantly, be happy and be blessed, man. And look, you got somebody telling y'all right here, she's living her life to the fullest. So I don't know what you're doing. So make sure you're doing what you got to be doing, because she's doing what she's doing. Peace, y'all.